Well, welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a proper local experience. Obviously, I've been at Euros, I've been at loads of different events as well, so I haven't had as much time to fully play in as much as I would like to do these types of videos, but, you know, we're going to pick this one back up. So, this week, well, I put out a poll because I'm so indecisive in what type of deck I want to play. Like when I build decks over the weekend and I test them and throughout the week, and then I'm like, oh, I really like how this plays, but then I also quite like how that plays. It always gives you a bit of a dilemma. So sometimes I'll ask you guys to see which ones you want to see the most and then kind of go from there. So at the time of recording this video, it was 27% for the Light and Darkness. It was 30% for Invoked, and then it was 32% for Phantom Knights. So Phantom Knights is kind of what I have in front of me. There was already a change through my testing that I wanted to make, and that was to take out the 6 dangers, and I wanted to add in either 3 emergency teleport, 1 tracker, 1 wielder, 1 ogre, or what I might do would be 2 emergency teleports, tracker, wielder, and 2 ogres, because then the ogres act as either extenders, they can act as an interruption on the field depending on the matchup, and then they can also act as a normal just hand interactor throughout the game anyway. So if I see them in the hand, it's not the end of the world and I can still make plays. So that's something that I'm currently testing and wanting to trial out. Another thing that I want to trial out for the extra deck is I want to trial out the Exosister Camella, because the Exosister Camella is another card that you can put on top of an XYZ with 0 material off of the back of your rank up, which is one of these, the rank up magic launch. That will allow you to actually go into Camella, and then what I like about the Camella is that it can turn your opponent's normal spell, normal trap, or any monster effect into I add a card from my graveyard back to my hand. So that's kind of nice because it replaces an effect and also then lets me add a card from my grave back to my hand. So if I've used a hand interaction during my turn, like if I've ashed my opponent's Fua or Perulia, I can then obviously hit them with the ash again during their turn, which can be kind of cool. So that's the first thing that I want to kind of, or the first couple of things that I want to change with this list. The dangers were nice, but the way that I kind of looked at it was Nessie was never actually doing anything. Once Nessie hit the field, I couldn't really get rid of it. Like I'd have to use it for IP Masquerena, or I'd have to use it for SP in order to get it off the field. Snake or Sukanoko and Jackalope were actually both kind of good because obviously they're both level 3, so if they successfully summon, great success. If the Jackalope fails to summon, it can still get a level 3 from the deck. If Sukanoko fails to summon, it will then obviously summon itself back from the graveyard, so it still gave me level 3 extenders. The only issue is I couldn't control these. If I hit and drew, nice, great success. If I didn't hit, I would have no, it wasn't as effective as I would have liked it to be. So if anything, you could probably go for like a 2 Sukanoko, 2 Jackalope. Obviously the idea of Nessie is that if you fail to hit, you search out one of these. But, you know, I feel that I could quite comfortably swap these 6 out for the 6 that I've previously mentioned. And that might put in a bit more work for me. It'll be more effective in consistency. I'll get more control over it. And then literally play 2 more non-engine hand interactions in the form of the Ghost Ogre. The only downside of the Ghost Ogre and the Wielders is that they do clash with the Dominus Impulses. So if I activate Impulses from the hand, then I won't be able to use the Ghost Ogre on the field, and ultimately it becomes a bit dead. So it would still become like a, not so much the fact that it's a tuner, but it'd still become a level 3 extender, which is still quite useful for me. And the idea behind the Wielders and Trackers is if I control a level 3 monster, so if I do hard open these up, I can special summon them down. So it's still quite effective for me. The Wielder will only trigger if it's sent as synchro material. So the other is if I hard open them, I can still get access to them. If I don't hard open them, but I open up emergency teleport, I can still get access to them. And it basically allows me to be a bit more resistant because at the end of the day, my starters in the deck are the Decay Cloak. And the Decay Cloak is actually really good because if I can reveal this in the hand with another Phantom Knights and special summon it, that's the most premium start, because then I'm like, right, well, if I interact with this, I can still just go normal summon any Phantom Knight monster I have and build on from there. So, not to mention that if it tries to add, instantly gets hit with a Droll. If I try to add, it could get hit with an Ash and Imperma Vader. So this is like a hand interaction magnet. This is the one that most people will probably try and stop unless I reveal a Phantom Knight monster. If I don't reveal a Phantom Knight monster, then I'm relying on having a danger in the hand. So in this scenario, I'm relying on one of these. And with Ghost Ogre running around, I guess if they Ghost Ogre me, that would pretty suck as well. Because if they Ghost Ogre this, I suppose actually, no, if they Ghost Ogre me, that's kind of fine. Because if they Ghost Ogre me, I just search out the Doom Solette. And then Doom Solette, I control no monsters, so I just get to go, cool, special down, special, and off I go. So, or get the trap card and then off I go. So maybe Ghost Ogre isn't that bad of an interaction. So still a bit to think about. I've got to find the additional space in the extra deck, like what I would take out. Through the normal combos and the testing, I end up going through, like you'll go through this. Ophion is obviously matchup specific, but you'll always go through this. You go through this or the Arc Rebellion, whichever one you need at the point that you're summoning it. Dark Rebellion, you always go through. Gossip Shadow, I think, is a nice option for a bit of protection. Breaksword, I'm not sure if I need 2 Breaksword. Maybe I could afford to play just 1. Could give me an option on that one. IP, SP, pretty standard. And then Nightmare and Shamanoid. So, yeah, this card's really good. Future Tournament Pack Super Rare upgrade, please. But this one's like really good for the deck. Okay, well, that's kind of like my ideal breakdown. For side decks, I'm pretty much going to use my generic side deck option. So I'll be using cards like Solemn Accusation and Solemn Judgment to help me protect my go first field. And then for going second, this deck, it could technically utilize Lava Golem because it doesn't use its normal summon. But I think the one that we're going to be looking for that's going to be more effective will be Santa Claus, because Santa Claus is the one that you give your opponent if they're on Light and Darkness, and then they can't return it to the hand. The only current issue right now with the Light and Darkness deck is that more times than not, the best version of the deck are putting out 2 interruptions. Like, it's not just the Light and Darkness monster that's an issue for you, it's wherever else they add. I'll also be playing Pot of Sloth. The card's like too good not to play as like a go second card. Yeah. And then I guess it kind of comes down to, do I play like the Lightning Storms? Do I play the Evening Matches? Like, which options would I want to go for? Evening Match I still think is quite effective. I'm also half tempted by like maybe Dark Rule No More. I don't know. Like, that's just something that's entered my head of like how I can interact with my opponent. I do kind of want Super Polarization. I like that as a card, but I feel that the Phantom Knights themselves don't have a huge amount of space in the extra deck to open up for free spaces, and then obviously you need the spaces in the main deck as well. So yeah, there's a bit for me to look at. I still need to change kind of like these packs of like these pockets of cards around and then change the sleeves correctly so that it all reflects and it makes sense. And then I've got to test it and be like, yeah, okay, I like the emergency teleport option so much that I don't want to use the Dominus Impulses and then swap those out. But I like Dominus Impulse. I think it's just an insanely good card in just general. So, I mean, Dominus Spark is an option. Dominus Spark is not so bad when you're considering you've got your Fog Blades and you've got your Sparks. But it really kind of comes down to what you open up the option for your opponent to special from the hand. Anyway, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to go transition into either a bit of a vlog when I'm at the store or a bit of a, starting off with a bit of commentary from the Duel 1 highlight. Then we'll do Duel 2, Duel 3, hopefully, depending on how many turn up. And then I'll bring it back to the lab here and then give you a breakdown of what did actually get changed, what side deck I used, and give you an overall view of the entire deck list. So, be back in a short second. Okay, so we're here at Calamity Comics in Hatfield. So this is my pretty much weekly locals on this one. So this is something that I haven't actually done in the local experiences before. So I thought this would be quite interesting to do. So I'm going to be going with Phantom Knights. It seems like a lot of you want to see Phantom Knights get played. I also really want to kind of give it a bit more in-depth play. Now, prior to the event, I've just kind of got my deck together. I currently was missing 1 Ghost Ogre, so I only have 1 Ghost Ogre in the deck. And I'm missing Drow and Lockbird, which does kind of open up some options for different side deck cards, which should be quite fun to do. At current, the lineup is looking quite spread, and what I mean by that is there'll be the odd rogue decks, but there's also some quite very high competitive decks. So there's like Goblin Biker Thingsmith, there is Yugioh, there is also Light and Darkness different variants. I think that there is a branded variant, there will be a Mitsu variant. This is all speculation of what I expect to turn up. There's also Fairy Tale, I believe. There is Lunar Lights, or it could be Fur Hire. I don't know which one that they're going to go for. And gives you a bit of an insight into what I may or may not be facing with the deck today. So again, you do the educated updates depending on the environment that you'll go into and what you expect to play, and then you kind of build back from there. So I'm going to be heading into there very, very shortly, going to get sat down, going to get ready. It looks like there's going to be about 3 to 4 rounds of Swiss, again depending on if the last person turns up. And yeah, let's see if we can walk home with one of the winner packs. If not, we're all going to be getting one of the brand new tournament packs anyway, so it'll be quite interesting to see what's in there. There's a lot of super rares I'm actually hunting. Like, I kind of want the Thunder King Ryo alternative artwork, but there's also, which would fit very nicely with the deck, is the, I think it's the Phantom Knight Fogblade alternative artwork as well. So hopefully I can get hold of one of those, whether that be lucky pull or whether that be a trade. Could be really, really awesome. Anyway, I will catch you all in a bit after round number 1. So this is duel number 1. This is just to basically show in the end phase of my opponent's turn, I hit them with a Dominus Spark, which gets rid of the Yugioh. This is actually duel number 3. So in duel number 1, I was able to win. In duel number 2, they used Triple Tactic Talents on my Arc Rebellion and then basically just killed me with my own monster. Now we're just kind of seeing the deck combo off a little bit. So using Wings in the end phase, bringing back the Decayed Cloak. Decayed Cloak then give me a search before it becomes my turn. Now all I've got to do is play around 1 set and then 2 known cards. So very early we go into Breaksword. We trigger off the Rusty Bardiche to destroy the set card. And then we've got Breaksword here. No real need to do this, but it gets rid of Nightmare Pain. And then Breaksword can trigger its own effect to summon back 2, treating them as level 4s. They can then both be overlaid into pretty much any rank 4 of the choosing. So I go for Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight then ranks up 1 more, and we end up going into the Arc Rebellion. Just switch to attack. Obviously, don't use Arc Rebellion's attack or effect, and then we just attack, and you can see there's an Nibiru. So this is duel number 1 against the Clown Crew Light and Darkness. So just resolving the Decayed Cloak here. This is duel 1, just to show you the Droll kind of combo. So we've used the Soiree in the graveyard to tribute off the Dritzy, which is the Link 2, and the Meteor, and then it goes, I've just resolved a search, and then they drop a Droll on me, and it basically just hand loops you. This is duel number 2, so this is just showing the type of end field that I put together. So we're going to be going into the battle phase, and this is just to show how I can get game in the battle phase. So this kind of just, I've cleared the field off, and then we use the new track card, the Veil, in the graveyard to instantly XEs. I've already made the ability to make the rank 3 material and kind of go from there. Then this is the 3rd and final duel against this matchup. So I summon down Boots, and then my opponent does have Gravity Collapse as the counter trap card. So obviously I can't respond to it. It tributes off the Synchro monster, and then basically just skips my turn, puts it to the end phase, means I can't, well, it doesn't put it to the end phase, it means I can't summon monsters. So, yeah, at that point there, it's pretty much writings on the wall, because there's the Light and Darkness play and everything else in between. So this is duel number 1 against Yummy Fiendsmith. So this is just to show my Enfield after being hit with an Imperm Ash and a Dominus Purge. So we still have the Rusty Bardiche. I've brought back the Scythe, just so that I've got an Exes on the field with no material, because I do have the Rank Up Magic launch. And now it's all about timing. It's about when do you get a summon a monster to the zone that Bardiche points to, that then allows you to destroy a monster. Obviously, I can't negate the Lacrima. The Lacrima was ultimately going to send in Gravel one way or another. And then this basically just became the decision of, do I make Ophion so that the Engraver can't come back, or do I make Carmel? So in this one, I believe I make the Carmel, because I was on an assumption that they were on Yummy. So I thought that as good as the other one would have been, that would have been enough. So this is just to show their end field. So this is like the end field that they try to get to. So we've got Wave Caesar, we've got Snatchy, we've got a Linkaribo, we've also got an SP Little Knight, and it just kind of shows that I can't really break through my opponent's field on this one. I go with the emergency teleport to get the Ghost Ogre to kind of threaten the High Wave King. I do normal summon down the Sorlet, which I could have special summoned and then used emergency teleport, but I kind of felt that I was going to get hit with it regardless. I used Dominus Impulse to stop the Yummy Snatchy, but completely forgot that Snatchy is not it's not a once per turn, it's a once per chain. So I was like, yeah, cool. Tried to make some plays, and then they were like, Snatchy? And I was like, yeah. So we're just resolving this, getting the Veil, and then there's SP Little Knight that could banish one of these, and yeah, it didn't really work. moving into that all-important game 3. So this is the end phase of my turn. Again, this is just to show my end field. So Ash Blossom, Purge, and then Spark. Spark banishes the Gossip Shadow, and I've got 3 set cards. One of them is going to be the rank up. I do the rank up a little bit earlier on this one because my opponent goes draw phase, standby phase, main phase, battle phase. So I was like, right, okay, we're still in the main phase. We'll go for the Carmel because the Carmel would at least if they do have an evenly, I trade off with the evenly, and if they don't have the evenly, then well played by them. They've baited me a little bit, but 3 hand interactions played through, still have 2 set cards, still got the Rusty Bardiche. There is the evenly. Carmel trades off with the evenly so I don't lose my set cards. They put the Cherubini back as they did in the previous one as well. And then it really kind of comes down to, do they have a starter? We already know that one of them is a Molchami Forloss because they were going to activate it, but because they activated Spark from the hand, they can't use it. Still during my opponent's turn, we use Fogblade to bring back the Scythe. And then this is basically just me working towards building into game. Short, sweet, and simple on that one. So reattaching the material and go from there. Anyway, let's head back to the lab. Okay, so I'm back from locals. I've shown you a couple of the duels that I took part on. So obviously in those duels was Yubel. There was also then Clown Crew Light and Darkness, I guess is what you put it down to. The other one was Yummy Fiendsmith. And then the final one that unfortunately I wasn't able to record because the camera died was actually probably like the best one because it was against Elfno Angeliki. Now, they bricked in game number 1. I was able to kind of, well, they didn't brick, they just opened up loads of hand interactions and it showed how resilient the deck was. Game number 2, they pretty much set up a field that I just couldn't break. And then in game number 3, it was probably like the best game because I set up my field under Peruli, right? It was a bit more of a half field. They then able to pull it apart, but they needed to go through a certain way so they couldn't get the game off at that point, and then it came back to me, and that's where like the graveyard resource of the Phantom Knights really came into play. So I was actually really happy with the deck overall, how it performed. My only loss was to the Clown Crew matchup, and that was literally game number 1 I got Droll hand looped, and then in game number 3 the field was still quite impressive, but in game number 3 my brain melted because I went Lightning Storm, even though they had, and called Spell and Traps, even though they had the Dark Magician of Dark Chaos, Black Chaos up, and I was like, that was stupid. And then for the final now in the coffin, they flipped the Gravity Collapse? Yeah, Gravity Collapse on me and then basically like skipped my turn, so I was like, yeah, cool, I can't play through that. Otherwise, really good. I ended up getting 3rd, joint with 2nd place. So 1st place was Lunalight, 2nd place was Sky Strikers, and then 3rd place was myself and Phantom Knights with a X1 record. I was actually just really impressed. So I'm going to take you through the list, show you what we've got, and then talk you through the changes that I've made. So for the Phantom Knight matchup, you're always going to max out on Torn Scales, always going to max out on Decayed Cloak. Though this card's nuts good. Max out on Boots because the idea is that if you can afford to... Like, I was also quite impressed in how well this deck can do under Droll. Like, Droll in the wrong circumstance can make it really awkward, but the deck can actually still perform quite well under Droll. So max out on all of these. Also max out on the Solette. This card's pretty insane as well. I think I undervalue how good this card is. Like, it's just actually that important. The extension, if you have no monsters, and then the fact that it gets you the access to the trap card then extends, it's just really good. 1 Greaves, Cloak, and Gloves. I have no issues with this lineup. Like, I think that none of these I would want to play less of, and none of these I'd want to play more of. So with the lineup, happy. Reinforce of the Army, because it can basically be any of those. 1 Foolish Burial, because it can get you your Gloves, your Cloak, your Boots all into the graveyard, and obviously your Cloak gets you your monster, your Boots gets you a Send of the Trap card for a revival, and then your Boots gets you a Phantom Knight spell or trap. So again, happy with that one. For the rank up spells, playing 3 rank up spells, the Magic Launcher, the Magic Force, and the Requiem. Now, I probably use the launch more than anything else because throughout the combo, the idea is you get to an Ophion, you lock your opponent down with an Ophion, and in the matchups I've already explained to you, Elf Notes, it can be very effective against. The Clown Crew matchup could be quite effective in the Light and Darkness version of that. Yubel, it can also be quite effective in as well. And I think the only one it wasn't that effective in was Yummy Fiendsmith, but then you can still shut off the Yummy lines. But then there is another card in the extra deck that I added in last minute that helps you in those matchups where Ophion won't put the work in. So I use this like near enough every game. This I use like once or twice and it's very good. This I never used. So I could find myself cutting this card out. It is a 42 card deck. Now, I'm not saying that you would 100% do that, but because I'm not playing like Kali Yugioh or a card that is of a much higher value, I feel that if you were to sacrifice one of these, this could be the one you would sacrifice. So, for the trap cards, 2 Fogblade and 1 Wings alongside the 1 Unbridged Veil. Unbridged Veil, amazing. Love that card so much. Really, really good card on this one. The Fogblade, happy with 2, and Wings, I'm happy with 2. Usually, if I was going, like if I know I'm going second, I would side out 1 of these, if not 2 of these. Like, I could afford to side that out because I know I'm probably not planning to go into Ophion, and then I could play with these 2, or I'd side this one out and play with these 2. And I'd definitely side out a Fogblade, even though it's good to see it. It's just ways that it's like you don't want to see multiple Fogblades in the hand without a discard outlet. Then for the extensions, I changed from having the Danger package, and I changed the Danger package for 2 emergency teleports, 1 Ghost Ogre, 1 Wielder, 1 Tracker. Now the idea is if you hard open up these and you've already got level 3 on the field, these are an extender. Emergency Teleport can get you to these as an extender, and what I quite liked was I would activate Emergency Teleport to get me Ghost Ogre to the field, even if I had enough to extend, because in certain matchups, so in the Yubel matchup, I was able to hit Rage. In the Yummy Fiendsmith matchup, I was able to threaten High Wave King Caesar. And in the Light and Darkness version, I was able to threaten the Mind Shuffle. So I actually rate Ghost Ogre. I'd probably want to play more of it, if anything. But I just don't know what I would cut in order to do so. But this package, 100% in my opinion, is better than the Danger, like the Danger package here. So I was a lot happier with this change. And I actually saw these quite a lot. And they put in a lot of work for me. So that's it for your main engine and your non-engine that's going to help you extend your plays. Another good thing about Emergency Teleport, which I actually had to do sometimes, is I could normal summon an Ash Blossom and extend. So just as a note. For the non-engine hand interactions, Fuelos, Ash Blossom, Dominus Impulse, 2 Dominus Sparks I added last minute, and 2 Forbidden Droplets. I know why Droplet is played. I get why Droplet is paid, but I actually didn't rely on this that heavily. Spark I actually really quite like in this build. Like, Spark is such a, and excuse the British analogy, but it's basically like Marmite. Now, Marmite is I think like if you're in Australia, it's called Vegemite, but basically the other is, it's a spread that you would put on like a bit of bread or a bit of toast or whatever. Some people, the slogan is, you either love it or you hate it. And with Dominus Spark, it's one of the ones that you either love it in a certain deck, like this one, or you hate it in other decks, like I believe I was Clown Crew that I was playing it with. And it really comes down to the player preference. So the Yummy Fiendsmith deck was playing this, and they said they hated it. And it actually worked out quite nicely for them because it got rid of my Gossip Shadow. But then for me, I used it in the Light and Darkness matchup, and I got rid of the Bianca Viso. So it actually put in a little bit of work for me. So to each their own. If you wanted to cut it down to 40, some people would get rid of Sparks, some people would get rid of Droplets, but, you know, the way this game is right now, you have to be playing, and if I looked at the amount of non-engine I had, so there's 9 there, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then if you count Ghost Ogre, that's 14 non-engine cards that can disrupt your opponent. So, yes, you could play Fallen the Virtuous, but your extra deck space is actually quite tight, which you're about to see now. So for the extra deck, I actually had to cut down a Phantom Knight Breaksword, and I'll explain that when I get to the card that I replaced it for. So Breaksword, Scythe, incredible, absolutely incredible addition, love that. Same for the Shaman Knight. This card, so much work. The amount of times I was able to reattach one of my trap cards, and then this is the XEs you have that has no materials. There was even times where I used this as overlay material because you used the cloak, used the Decay Cloak to allow you to use this as material, and was really, really good. Gossip Shadow is the other rank 3. Then for the rank 4s, I got the Raiders Knight. And then the targets that you would summon off of the back of your rank up launch is Nightmare, bit generic, but I feel that this could be cut for the second Breaksword. Like, these two are the cards in question. Then the other one is Ophion. Puts in work, it really makes it awkward, but no time did I ever sit on Ophion and it win me the game. So what I mean by that is that in the Light and Darkness Clown Crew matchup, my opponent used Flare and booked it. In the Elf Note matchup, they had the Power Patron spell card in the graveyard and the Power Patron level 1, attacked it, and then used the spell card to banish it. So, yeah, it's not like in those matchups, if this sticks to the field, it wins you the game. But I was actually quite happy that I didn't need to rely on Ophion to win me the games. It was quite nice that I wasn't giving this report saying, yeah, I just made Ophion and I won. It was actually quite nice to say, I made Ophion, it made it awkward, my opponent outed it, but then the deck still stood strong. Then the spice is the Exosister Carmel. Now, what I liked about this was in the Fiendsmith matchup was the the Yummy Fiendsmith is, I didn't know they were on Fiendsmith at the time. I knew they were on Yummy, so I was like, well, Ophion's not going to be that effective for me. Oh no, I take that back. I did know they were on Fiendsmith because they went normal summon Lacrima. I was like, I could go Ophion, which would stop Engraver coming back, which would then in turn stop Lacrima, Desiree if they play it, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, I ended up going for Carmel. Now, Carmel was really good because Carmel lets you basically turn one of your opponent's effects into, they add a card from my graveyard back to my hand. Now, the times that I resolved Carmel, I did resolve it twice. They actually chose to give me back the Cherubini, which was fine with me. Like, I don't think they're ever going to give you back anything that is of use at all. But just being able to turn one of their effects into something different, like this, in my opinion, is a staple with Phantom Knights now. Like, this card's so good. Then we got the Dark Rebellion XZs that can go into the Dark Requiem, which I actually never made. I actually made the Bamboos and Gossip Shadow more to protect me from the Nibiru or anything, rather than the Dark Requiem. But the one that did win me a game against the Elf Knight matchup, but then also won my Yugioh opponent the matchup, was the Art Rebellion XZs, because I forgot to use Art Rebellion XZs in the Yugioh matchup. They stole it and then did the effect and then attacked me with it because of Trill Tactic Talents. But then in the Elf Knight matchup, I was able to do this and it gained like crazy amounts of attack and then he just one-punched over it. So this card, in my opinion, I value more than the Requiem, but I know how important the Requiem is. The only issue with the Requiem is you need to have a Dark Rebellion XZ. So you have to have this card as its material to give this its additional effects, whereas this one doesn't need that. This just needs to have a Dark XZ, which is a lot easier done with the Raiders Knight. Then for the Link Monsters, IP, I don't think I made it. SP Little Knight, made it like once or twice, fine. Cherubini and Rusty Bardiche, made these like all the time. This card is still crazy. Like still in 2026, this card's still mad. Like I love how good this card is. So yeah, I mean Bardiche, a lot of people undervalue it, but there's so many times, and you've got to remember that it's when a Dark XZ is special summon to a zone. So actually use Fogblade in the grave, summon to a zone it points to, and then go cool effect, pop, which is actually quite effective because then you, with the Fogblade, what made it so cool is you were able to bring back the Phantom Knights of Malevolent Scythe, and then this is your monster that is an XZ that has no material, so you can just rank it up into Ophion or Carmel. So that's it for the extra deck. Now on to the side deck. So, as a disclaimer for the side deck, I didn't have my full side deck I would have liked to have had. I would have loved to have had Droll and Lockbird, so the fact that Droll and Lockbird's missing from here was a bit of a detriment, and that would have helped me out in the Clown Crew matchup, but you kind of go with it. So for the going first cards, I was on 3 Accusations and 1 Judgment, just pretty standard. You just solidify your going first turn anyway. These are basically 3 Mulchummy Fool losses out, and then for the Accusations, and then the Judgment can come in for 1 card of your choosing. For going second, I was playing 3 Lightning Storms. These are just the cards that I had available to me at that point, because these ones from my side deck already built. These cards I was like, oh, I need to play a card like Lightning Storm. So yeah. Then I was playing 1 Santa Claus, 2 Lava Golems. It could very easily be 3 Lava Golems if you want to, but there are times where you do need to use your normal summon for Phantom Knights. More times than not you don't, because if you open up Cloak and any other Phantom Knights, you can extend and push through. So these were just to deal with tower monsters. Obviously the Santa Claus is there to deal with the Light and Darkness monster, so they can't return the Lava Golem to the hand and then summon down their monster. But even if they do that, they need to have 3 monsters to do so. Potsloth, I resolved it. I opened it twice, resolved it once, and it got hit the second time. So the way that I see this is, with the current end fields of most decks, this card is very rarely is it ever going to resolve as your first card. Like, very rarely you're going to be able to go, cool, Pot of Sloth, and you're relying on Pot of Sloth to fix your hand to let you play. Because if your opponent has an Ash or a way on the field to stop it, more times than not, they're going to stop it. I did draw 9 cards with it in the Yubel matchup. They just didn't have an answer to it, and that helped me out. But that's just kind of pros and cons of it. And then the final 2 cards were 2 Evenly Matches. Again, I feel that I could very easily sacrifice a Lightning Storm for a Harpy's Feather Duster. I'm not too sure what I would do for the Droll and Lockbirds in this scenario, because I feel if anything, I might sacrifice a Judgment just so that this is really easy of Mulchummy Full Loss out, Accusations in, and then maybe I could afford to sacrifice a Lightning Storm, and that's my 2 Drolls. So Or maybe I'd get rid of the Lava Golems or the Santa Clauses, but I feel these can still put in work. And I think a lot of people don't, because of the way that Phantom Knights used to be, a lot of people don't expect Phantom Knights to be able to play a card like Lava Golem. And then when they drop a Lava Golem on them, they're like, oh. But I do fully understand that the Lava Golem will only be viable with specific hands. So I never saw the Lava Golem. I never put it into work. I saw Lightning Storm a couple of times and it did put in work for me. I saw Accusation once and it put in work for me. I saw Potter Sloth twice and one time it did work, the other time it didn't. And then the rest I didn't see. So, to each their own. 4 rounds. It'll either work or it doesn't. So, overall, I was actually really, really happy with the deck. It performed a lot better than I was expecting, more so in regards to its resilience. So obviously you can do your combos, you know your lines inside and out, but what I liked about this deck is how well it was able to adapt and how well it was able to change its path or trajectory in order to still get a good end field. And I think it had a nice range. Yes, most of the matchups I faced were a bit rogue, but overall the locals was... So Lunalights was first, Sky Strikers was second, which I think would be a really awkward matchup because Fog Blades become irrelevant within reason. Then it was myself. There was Trains, Goblin Biker Fiendsmith, Yummy Fiendsmith, Doomsy, Fairy Tale, plus the 3. I'm just trying to remember where else I missed it. Oh, Radiant Typhoon was one of them as well. And... apologies to whoever I've missed off there on that one. But there was 12 duelists in total, including myself. Locals in the UK are a little bit smaller than most. Definitely nowhere near the level of the American ones. But it's still very, very good. A nice community and something to kind of trial out and test. And this is why I like trialing out different decks at different environments. So really happy with this deck. It performed really well the way that I wanted it to. I'm happy with the changes that I made. I don't know if there's any changes directly I would make to the deck now going forward. It'd really kind of come down to a bit more testing. And what I mean by that is the ratios of the core cards themselves, I don't think I would change. It's more so the environment of, is Ghost Ogre still effective? Yes or no? Is Ash Blossom effective in the environment over cards like Draw and Lockbird or Ghost Spell and kind of stuff like that? But the deck was able to play through like an Ash, a Ghost Spell, and a Purge multiple times. It was able to play through Purges and Imperms. Like, it actually worked out really nicely. So very happy with that one. Anyway, that is it for this week's episode of The Local Experience. I am looking to do a bit of a revamp on The Local Experience, try and change it up a little bit more going forward. So I'm still working on that in the background, trying to get a little bit more production value behind it for as well, to make it like a more of an ongoing series that you really start to enjoy. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, the whole 9 yards. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.